Right, so in this video I'm going to tell you about managing your bladder on a long-term trip. Here we've got medical goodies in a suitcase, which travels free, which is excellent, and there's loads of shite in here, but the thing I want to focus on is bladder stuff. So I would normally intermittently catheterize, but for the purpose of a long haul journey, or even something like 4 hours, I would use one of these, which is a Foley catheter, or also known as an indwelling catheter. The reason for using this is that you can attach it to a bag and empty it whenever's convenient for you. You don't have to worry about leaks in between intermittent catheters, and you don't have to worry about getting out the crown jewels on an aircraft with, I don't know, a kid or a woman sat next to you, unless that woman's Laura. So altogether a lot more easy to use an indwelling catheter for the purpose of travel. You still do have to empty it during flight because unless you're using a leg bag, which is massive, it will fill up quickly. So I use a 500ml leg bag, and I think on the long 12-15 hour flight I just used bottles and filled them up. And very amusingly,
you dickhead,
we got to security and I put my bag in the security scanner and it went through, and then Lara said, "Oh, your bag has triggered the security for some reason." I was like, "Oh, I wonder what that is," and I realised it was because it had like a litre bottle of urine in. And very embarrassingly for Lara, because I was still behind the check-in, she had to explain what it was whilst I sat scot-free and just feeling pretty mortified. Anyway, indwelling catheter is the best way to go. I've got a number of intermittent ones in here just in case, and I've got spare leg bags as well, because, well, you shouldn't use the same leg bag for too long anyway, and if for any reason it breaks or just starts to smell weird or whatever, I've got several spare ones.
Essentially just always have backup, and always have a backup for the backup.
Yes, and I've got 3 spare indwelling catheters as well, because again, you never know what might happen. If for any reason you get a UTI, it is preferable to change them. I think the evidence base surrounding that is not great, but that's another video. And therefore, I've got some lube that you can use for that. I've got sterile gloves in the catheter bags, and I've got standard gloves as well, so would be easy to change.
Do mention that not everyone can change their own catheter.
That's true. I'm presuming a degree of dexterity and hand function here that perhaps not everyone has. So if you have a partner or a PA, carer, what have you, then perhaps they can help with that. But indwelling catheter is the way to go, and you either empty it into a bottle during the flight, and if your other half / PA is feeling kind, they can empty that in the loo, or you can just store them and then not forget about them during security.
Indeed.
Yeah. That's one thing to be very careful about. You do need to position the bag, and I'm not used to wearing an indwelling catheter, so you do need to position it in such a way that it doesn't kink. Otherwise it will bypass, and then you will be sad and have to change, which has happened once so far. But you know, these things happen. You've just got to try and take it in your stride, take it in your wheel. One other pro tip that I forgot to mention is I've got these trousers that I just happen to have. They're from Colombia, I think, but they're kind of short what are they called? Short conversions. So there's a zip here. So rather than fumbling about or like pulling the leg up to access the actual catheter, you can just unzip here and it's there. So it's very, quick draw. And yeah, much easier to empty on a plane when you're a bit limited for space, or
visibility,
or there's a kid next to you and you don't want to get on the register, So there you go. One other thing that you may wish to consider, depending on whether you suffer with UTIs frequently, is taking a rescue pack of antibiotics with you. Now this will vary hugely according to you personally, whether you have previous cultures that have been sensitive to particular antibiotics. For me, I have, and this antibiotics covers a range of common urinary pathogens, and so I know that if I am struck down and unwell, then I can just start taking this rather than face inevitable delays whilst in an unfamiliar healthcare system and country. So that's something to think about.